Hey, there we are again. And today I'm going to show you my top 10 black metal albums of all time. Yeah, I know how that sounds. And let me explain. This is not a list about albums that are on top of everything. It's just a list of albums I can always come back to, no matter what mood I'm in. These albums always work for me. For example, maybe some albums by Urfaust are better than the albums I'm going to talk about. But I have to be in a certain mood to listen to Urfaust. You probably know what I'm talking about. So yeah, let's dive into it. The order of the albums is not important, that's why I ordered them alphabetically. Number 1 is Askerayas mit Raben und Wölfen. Yes, you will probably recognize some of the albums on this list from my journey to the black metal video. Which makes sense, you know, because it leaves a mark on you. The first black metal albums you listen to. And so is Mit Raben und Wölfen by Askeraya, which I find to be very raw sounding, very creative, nice. I love the vocalist, the riffs, the cold atmosphere, and the pagan vibe it's got. It's a perfect album for lonely winter nights. If you want to get into it, I recommend 2 songs. Gedanken and Winternacht, for example. From Germany to Sweden to, I think this is one of the most mentioned albums on this channel, Only True Believers by Armageddon. I cannot get tired of this album. It's amazing, brutal. It's not atmospheric at all or cold. It's just pretty angry, fast, rocky black metal. I like it. If you want to get into it, 2 songs, the title track Only True Believers or For I Am His Slave. Number 3 is Behexen from Finland with their album By the Blessing of... no, it's From the Devil's Chalice, which is actually considered to be an EP, but it's pretty long for an EP if you ask me. It's very raw sounding, you know, I mean, Behexen are not very famous for good production quality. They always have this true old school sound to it, but From the Devil's Chalice is even more raw, so it takes some time to get into it, but I really enjoy the riffs, the vocals, the atmosphere. It's my favorite Behexen release, definitely. 2 songs you can listen to, Holy Foul or Invocation of Zabulus. Next one's a classic, maybe the foundation of ambient black metal or atmospheric black metal even. It's Philosophen by Burzum. Or Burzum. Yeah, is there anything I need to say about that album? I think everybody knows that album. Everybody knows Burzum or Vargvikernes. You can think about him what you want, but the music speaks for itself. And of course, this album is super. You could say it's super boring, but it's also super meditative, and you know, it takes you to a certain place, which is Philosophen, and that is nice. I hope that made sense. 2 songs you can listen to, Jesus Tod, Jesus Death, or Erblicke die Töchter des Firmaments, Beholding the Daughters of the Firmament. Yeah. Another album I can always come back to is Pestapokalypse 6, or do you say Pestapokalypse 6 by Belphegor. I know, you don't need to tell me. Lucifer Incestus is awesome, Swarm of Rats, blah blah blah. The early albums, amazing stuff. But Pestapokalypse was the very first Belphegor album I knew, and it literally brought me into Gravity Blasts. And I love the drum sound on that album. The guitar riffs are nice. Very melodic, of course, but melodic in an evil way, not in a beautiful way. You know, pretty superficial, satanic, evil stuff. Mainstream, you could say. It's almost mainstream, but I love that album. Songs you can listen to: Pest Teufel Apokalypse or Sanctus Perversum. Surprise, Transylvanian Hunger is on the list. My first black metal album, my first Darkthrone album, of course. It's cold, it's hateful, it's atmospheric, at least to me, and it's not boring at all, even though it's 90% blast beats of the time, which don't sound brutal, but more, they flow, they just flow, you know? It's not the brutal kind, it's probably the production, but I love it. Songs you can listen to: Graven tåke himen saler, or Uvefjell og gjennom tuner. Sorry for my Norwegian. So beside Beheksen, another band from Finland, it's Horna with their album Evangels of Satan. Yes, that's how you pronounce it, because the original title is not Finnish and is not any language at all, it's just gibberish. If you just read every other letter, it becomes Evangels of Satan. Horna, an interesting band. When I saw them live, I was surprised by the amount of, let's say, politically active people in the crowd. But it was a nice gig anyway. Since Horna is part of the unholy trinity of Finland, you know, Beheksen, Horna and Zargeist, which are also on this list, spoiler, you know, the music consists of a lot of nice melodies. Horna's, you could say, slower than Beheksen, because there's way more groovy, and I always call it rock. It's not rock, but you know what I mean when I say groovy and rhythmic headbang stuff in Horna's songs. And Evangels of Satan is my favorite album. Songs you can listen to are, I have to read that, sorry, Kyros, Jamalia, or Kuoleva Lupaus. Sorry for my Finnish. Since I began my YouTube career with making songs in the style of Inquisition, not actual covers, it was songs I wrote, it's pretty obvious that I'm a huge Inquisition fan, and my favorite Inquisition album is also on this list. It's Nefarious Dismal Orations. Because, you know, a huge part of that album is actually the sound. It makes you feel like you're joining an actual satanic ritual or something. And the lyrics to the title track, Nefarious Dismal Orations, still give me goosebumps. Even though it's ugly sometimes. But, you know, where Belphegor is superficial, satanic music, Nefarious Dismal Oration feels like very serious satanic stuff, and I love that. Songs you can listen to: Nocturnal Gatherings and Wicked Rites, or the title track, Nefarious Dismal Orations. Isn't there a new Dark Funeral song with that name? I'm not even sure. Or is it the name of the album? I don't know. Let the Devil In by Zargeist. And there we have them. Beheksen, Horna and Zargeist on the list. Yeah, I like to listen to Finnish black metal. And I'm not sure if that's true, but I think when it comes to the guitar riffs, Zargeist is maybe one of the most important bands that influenced the music of DURBATULUK. DURBATULUK. But I'm not sure about that, you know, I don't think about other bands. But it's not about me, it's about the album. Zargeist, or especially Let the Devil In, is kind of the perfect mixture between Horna and Beheksen. The production's way better, I gotta say, but it's cool, that fits the riffs and the music. Just listen to it. Or, if you don't want to listen to the full album, listen to Discovering the Enshrouded Eye or Empire of Suffering. I think it's the first song. Last one. And since the first one was Germany, we're back in Germany. This is Silberbach, There Will Be Blood. It took me a while to figure out how amazing that album is, actually, because I only listened to one song. It's only four songs, and then I discovered the rest of that album, and I was blown away by how well the songs are written, how nice the drums and the guitar fit. It's just a bunch of very talented black metal musicians, I gotta say. Not atmospheric. It is atmospheric. It is brutal and fast and nice, interesting riffs. High-pitched vocals, nice, listen to it. Or listen to Suffering of a Tortured Soul, or what's the other song? I wrote that down. The 5 Chapters of Torture. And that's it, that was the list. What do you think? What's your favorite? Or let's say, it's not my favorite albums, as I said before, it's the albums I can go back anytime. What's your favorite? What's your list? What's your top 10? What's your top 3, top 5? You don't need to write a top 10. I'm interested. Recommend me stuff if you like. See you next time.